And we're live.
I wanted to ask you about some of the bigger movies from last year and recently this year. So Tarantino obviously had a new big one, and I guess it kind of had mixed reviews. I went and watched the 70 millimeter the Roadshow edition of The Hateful Eight, and I didn't. I thought it was one of his worst movies. I didn't like it a lot. I liked it, but I didn't love it. And I thought there were some pacing issues. I felt like have you seen it? I'm sure you've seen it. I felt like the part where they go back and I can't remember what's the actor's name who's in the basement the entire time.
Tatum.
When they go back and show everything that Channing Tatum did before the stagecoach arrived, it really broke the flow of the movie to me, and I didn't care for that entire block of film at all. And I don't know, it didn't do it for me. I thought.
Agree. I agree. That was I like the movie more than you, but I agree. That was my least favorite part of it. That was by far the issue for me that I had. It was like it was Tarantino does this. I mean, with all of his movies, almost there's always like a point where he goes, "Oh, and 2 weeks ago this happened," or "Oh, 2 years ago this happened." He does it with almost all of his films. Rarely ever are his narratives just a straightforward narrative. But with this movie, that was my one big issue with it. It just felt like it kind of broke the progression of the story.
And I feel like that filmmaking style he has, that he loves to do that. Obviously, like look at Reservoir Dogs, when he goes back and he's giving you more information about Mr. Blonde, and you're figuring out what makes these guys tick. It's really important as it leads up to the torture scene and stuff like that.
Right.
And there were a lot of opportunities to make that style work. What if they had went back and showed some of Samuel L. Jackson's like youthful days? Any of the characters. I would have rather seen a flashback of any character in that movie other than Channing Tatum. Like, he's the one who I just didn't give a fuck about. The rest of them are the ones I had bonded with, the ones that had really interested me with their rich backstories and their interesting personalities. And each of them, it seemed, oh, you're that guy? You're the guy that everybody's heard of? You've got a bunch of people there who are kind of folk legends almost. So it would have been great to go back to any one of them in their younger days, any kind of flashback involving them. But Channing Tatum's flashback not only felt clunky and messed up with the flow of the film for me, but just wasn't interesting.
Samuel L. Jackson had my favorite flashback in the movie during like the first half, where he's like, "I made your son suck my dick," and you see it and you're like, wow, that's pretty much the worst insult you could really give somebody. I mean,
yeah.
Can you imagine, like, as a father, a worse insult than some random guy just telling you what he did? He basically sodomized your son. I mean, it's like,
yeah.
That's pretty terrible.
Yeah, it's awful, and that was a crazy moment in the film. And I know there's a lot of discussions online. I don't think that he actually, in fact, did that. I feel like Samuel L. Jackson is provoking him in that moment, and he's just like he's trying to just really go over the top because this guy hasn't pulled his gun out yet. He's already told him that he's walked him out naked through the cold, and he's just escalating. Yeah. He wants this guy to draw down. He wants to kill this guy right then and there. So I don't think he actually raped it, but.
Probably not, but they kind of leave it ambiguous
where
it's like you can choose to believe whether or not this happened. And I guess the one bit that kind of, for me, teeters towards it did happen is that they show it. Like, if they had just had him explaining it without showing it, then I'd probably teeter towards he's just provoking him. But Tarantino filmed it and you see it. So I kind of am sort of like 60-40 he did it.
Yeah.
So that's
if he filmed it and showed it, then wouldn't you be like 100% zero that you did it? Or I haven't seen the film, so I don't know.
Because it feels like he's painting a narrative.
Yeah, he's like telling a story, and then it sort of like cross dissolves, and you see his story being told, and so it's like it's not 100%.
It's almost a visual aid to his story rather than something. It's a different point of view for the audience. I feel like that's how I felt in that moment. I felt, even though there's some ambiguity there to whether it happened or not, I don't believe it happened. In any case, that's how I felt about that one. I liked it, but I didn't love it, and I would rank it, pretty near the bottom of his films. It's right there with. I like Kill Bill better. I do. I know. I don't think Woody likes Kill Bill very much, but I like Kill Bill. I consider it one movie, and I like the one movie of Kill Bill better than Hateful Eight. Although I found the 70 millimeter aspect and the Roadshow aspect of the whole experience really cool.
Where are you on Death Proof?
I
For me, that's his least favorite for me.
Yeah, it's my least favorite, but I can still get into it. I've watched it half a dozen times.
Is that
wow.
I like watching I like watching Kurt Russell. I like watching him act and watching his eyes, and he's a really thoughtful actor. He's been acting since he was a kid, you know. He's back in like Lassie or something like that. Those old Disney things.
He's the best part of Death Proof by far. He's definitely the best part of the movie. Definitely
so. He's really good, and I don't know. I guess I definitely like that car chase once it starts and once she's strapped to the hood. It's not about dialogue in that moment. It's not about classic Tarantino filmmaking. It's not about how much blood splattering on the wall. It's about mimicking those grindhouse films that he's thinking back to from the 70s, and that's what he's doing there. He's not trying to be Tarantino. He's trying to be some weird director from the 70s who made a grindhouse movie with a bunch of hot chicks driving in a fast car. So it kind of stands alone, in my opinion, from the rest of his work in its own way. But there were a lot of movies this year that I liked, and I really liked seeing DiCaprio win the Oscar finally.
Yeah, that was a good moment.
We all three were really happy about that.
I just wanted to get it over with. I felt like he deserved it. I feel like he's a good actor. I enjoyed The Revenant immensely. I thought it was beautiful. It was more about it was visually incredible. The story itself wasn't perfect for me. It wasn't a 10 out of 10. It wasn't an excellent story. But his commitment to the role and just the beauty of the filmmaking, and I can't remember that cinematographer's name, the one who won his third Oscar in a row, the guy who did Birdman and then Gravity, and then it's Lubezki or something like that.
Yeah, I want to say it's Emmanuel Lubezki.
Yeah, he's the one. DiCaprio should be thanking him for his Oscar in some regards, because thanks to his camera work and what the look of the film, that's what kept me engaged enough to appreciate DiCaprio's acting. Really enjoyed that film.
Yeah, it was directed by Alejandro G. Iñárritu, and then the cinematographer was Emmanuel Lubezki.
Yeah, I love that, and it made I didn't connect the dots with Lubezki with Gravity and Birdman until this third film, but I loved Gravity and I loved Birdman. I saw Gravity in 3D, and it was an experience. It was reminiscent of The Matrix in that it was kind of groundbreaking. It was something I'd never seen before, and I always tell the story of how the man sitting next to me, there's a part where a Soyuz capsule breaks apart, and it's got all these ropes flailing in space that connect to a parachute, and she's slipping off the spacecraft, and she's trying to grab these flailing cords, and in 3D they look like they're in their face, and the man next to me was trying to grab one, and I was like, yeah, this is a cinema experience. Or
it's Georgia. Yeah. Well,
oh Lord, we in space!
I told you we should have went to church instead of seeing a film. Yeah.
I look over about 5 minutes in, I realize he's been holding his breath. He's all red-faced. We're in space. No, right? But it was that movie was great for me, and Birdman was too. It had that really long take that I think there was some trickery involved there, but that's what makes him good at his job. I feel like, I guess you could spend weeks and weeks orchestrating a no-cut take that's really difficult. But what he does, it seems, is that he's the master of doing one or two takes and making an incredible shot. Like when he walks out, so he gets locked outside the theater in Birdman, and he has to walk through the crowd and in New York and everything in his underwear. So really, really enjoyed that film.